ladies and gentlemen, we start this edition with a breaking story, an exclusive story that coming in, which is a mega Republic exclusive. Yesterday, remember how we told you about Air India top boss in his internal WhatsApp chat had asked the officials to ignore any bomb threats that were received. Today, in a response to query by Republic, Air India has admitted that it received bomb threats on 5 Air India flights yesterday. Now, that's a big admission coming by Air India in a response to a query that Republic had asked. Remember, why we are making this as the big story, why this is a big admission, is because earlier in the past, when Air India had received bomb threats, it had uploaded on their social media, it had informed the public and the media on their social media handles about the bomb threats. However, when Air India received bomb threats yesterday, it had not put out the information on any of the social media handles. But in a response to questions asked by Republic, it has responded to our queries, and that's the response that you see on your screen. Air India officials have said that 5 Air India flights did receive a security threat on social media yesterday. Now remember, these have been duly reported to the regulatory bodies, is what the Air India official have said. It has also said that it has laid down all procedures and it was strictly followed as per guidelines of the regulatory bodies. Now that's the response that Air India had given to a query asked to them by Republic. Our colleague Harsha, who is taking the lead in this Republic mega exclusive, has got you the details. Harsha, my colleague, is joining us live from New Delhi, and we also have Rakshita joining us live from the newsroom. Harsha, coming to you first, you got the big lead in the story. Yesterday you told us about how there was an internal WhatsApp message that was ignored, how there was a call given to ignore the bomb threats, and when asked about the bomb threats as to why it was not given out on the social media platform, what is it that the Air India top boss had to tell you? Tell us to our viewers.
So in a one way, it's a Republic's huge impact, mega impact, where we sent them out the questions regarding the bomb threats which they had received to the social media on the social media platform, but a very vague response from Air India indeed. Let me tell our viewers that whenever there is a bomb threat message or call or any technical failure in Air India puts out a detailed statement on their social media platform and also shares it with the media persons. But in this case, they responded to our questions through via mail, where they stated that SOPs were followed, and yes, there were 5 bomb threat messages on social media to Air India. But why did Air India hide all these messages till late evening? At around 8:19 p.m. they responded to the mail which Republic sent out to Air India at around 1 p.m. That 1 p.m. mail was responded, and the mail and the answers was given at 8 o'clock, and also they only mentioned that yes, bomb threats were received. They had followed proper SOPs, proper procedures, but what exactly SOPs did they follow? Because no emergency landing was done. DGCA, BCAS was not informed till the afternoon. The flight landed to its particular destinations, and after landing as well, the DGCA was not informed. After Republic news break, DGCA and BCAS pulled up Air India, and after that the regulators were informed. So much that Air India tried to hide from the viewers, from the passengers regarding the security protocol. And now very vague message from Air India only by accepting that yes, there were bomb threats. That indeed clarifies that yes, there were bomb messages which Air India tried to hide for their commercial interest, keeping their commercial interest at the utmost priority more than the safety and security of passengers. Now Air India needs to answer that why they were trying to take all this decision on their self. Were they allowed to take such important decisions alone? Was it not important to inform DGCA and BCAS regarding the bomb threat call when they immediately received on their IOCC? So they're the proper procedures which they need to follow, but in this case they didn't follow. But yes, it's Republic huge mega impact that now Air India has accepted that they got bomb threat messages. That clarifies that there could be many more bomb messages which Air India tried to hide in past also with the regulators. Back to you.
Right, Harsha. Harsha getting there, the biggest story of the day on Republic. I also have aviation expert Subhash Goel joining us, joining live on the bulletin. Sir, thank you for speaking to Republic. What does the standard operating procedures say when a bomb threat is received? What is the immediate action that the officials have to take soon after?
No, immediately, I think the security agencies, whether it is BCS or it is the airport authorities, they have to be informed immediately. And then they analyze. There's a committee that analyzes whether it's a genuine threat or the action has to be taken or not to be taken. If it is a genuine threat, then yes, immediately all security agencies have to be informed, the tower has to be informed, and tower puts the flying, all the emergency ambulances and, the fire brigade and everything. And the plane is taken to a remote area. And in the remote area, first the passengers are disembarked, then a thorough checking is done, including take the help of a dog squad. And once they're satisfied, then the passengers re-embark. But so many threats have been coming now that they have probably formed a pattern that which one is genuine and which is just. You see, tomorrow if all the flights started receiving bomb threats, then all the planes need not be grounded. You see, we need to, this is what the terrorists or the people concerned who are making these bomb threats want. And that is why we need to, let life go on. I mean, I had mentioned yesterday also that even after there was actual bombing in the London Underground, after a few hours, I think it was again life back to normal. So the flights have to go on. People have to, you see, the Indian economy and particularly Indian aviation is the fastest growing aviation industry in the world. And our enemies are jealous of India's progress. So they cannot compete with India, and that is why they are using children or they are using, various methods or maybe calls which cannot be traced from outside the country in order to dislodge our aviation, industry. So I think a joint group, I believe, has been formed. And I'm sure military intelligence would also be a part of it, apart from RAW and IB and the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security. And so I'm sure, you see, whatever decisions airlines will take, because the life of the pilot is also at stake, along with the passengers. But one thing I must make it clear to you, that a standard operating procedure, the passengers are never informed of the bomb threat, because that will create panic in the aircraft, and that will be more dangerous. So they are said that they find an excuse that yes, because of some technical hitch, we need to land. And if they are fully aware that they have done all the security drills even before the plane took off and every passenger has been screened properly, then it is not necessary for the airline to definitely, land. They can complete their, journey and carry on. You see, this is a decision that is to be taken on the spot by the pilot and the concerned, security agencies. And whatever decision they take it in the best interest of and safety of the passengers, the aircraft, and the pilot will never risk his life unless he's sure that, all security checks have been done.
Right. Right, Subhash. I request you to stay with us. We'll come back to you, but I want to go across to Madhurima. Rakshita is also joining us live from the newsroom along with Suesha. Madhurima, first to you. You have covered aviation for quite some time now. Yesterday, we broke the story of how Air India's top boss had asked his fellow colleagues to ignore the bomb threats that were received. Was it under the was it the norms that he's followed? Was it against the norm? And why is it that today, when my colleague Harsha has written a mail to Air India, they are silent on the role of the top boss, where he has asked his colleagues to ignore the bomb threats that were received?
नहीं.
Right, I would like to take my question across to Rakshita. Rakshita, like I was saying, the top bosses have asked their fellow colleagues to ignore the bomb threat. That was the exclusive story that we broke yesterday. Today, my colleague Harsha has got us another exclusive news break on the same story. Air India did actually hide from the social media. They did not put up on their social media about the bomb threats that the flight received yesterday. And today, when questioned, the AI top boss is actually silent on the ignore call that they gave to their fellow colleagues. Rakshita.
Quite a lot of things. It actually speaks volumes of the way Air India is, playing with the lives of those who take the flights of Air India. It's one of the biggest carriers in the country, and it has a reputation of its own. And in the past, we have seen Air India, disclosing this information, sharing this information, issuing the advisory issuing any advisory. But this did not happen on Thursday, when as many as 7 flights, at least 7 flights, were receiving these bomb threats, many of them mid-air, many of them were mid-air. And the fact that, of course, all questions are now pointed towards the Air India top boss, because Republic TV has accessed that message trail, where it clearly shows that how the employees were, in fact, directed to, ignore something as grave a threat, something that can jeopardize the lives of hundreds and thousands of people who travel via Air India. There are tens of thousands of people who take up air travel every day in the country. And this, of course, raises many questions. Was the DGCA involved or not? Was the SOP followed or not? And, of course, the question that if the Air India boss had, in fact, broken the SOP, he had flouted the norms, he had flouted the rules. And this, of course, comes down all to the security, to the safety of the passengers. And the fact that he's not replying to Republic TV's very pointed and pertinent questions speaks volumes, Tanisha, as to why he is choosing to be silent, because this will affect the business ultimately. Why the emergency landings were not made when they have been made in the past, why this time they were ignored.
Right, Rakshita. Suesha, these ignorance calls, the SOS call that was ignored, and today when asked about the threats that were received yesterday, only then is when Air India had responded. Do you believe that this is an example of sheer negligence, or do you believe there could be a possible ulterior motive behind this?
At the outset, one can't think but to keep commercial interests at the top of it, and this is what Air India is seeming to do now, because fact is, Tanisha, that more than 15 flights so far have received hoax bomb threats, and I'm talking primarily about Air India flights alone. So be it Air India Express, be it Air India, they have received these bomb threats. Now, let's also understand that when a flight has to be redirected or make an emergency landing, it costs extra money to the company. Of course, when it is an airline carrier, and an airline carrier of the scale of Air India, but even if it wasn't of that scale, fact is that it is passenger safety that is paramount. It is the passengers' lives that matter the most, and that is the responsibility of any airline carrier. Initially, we saw how some international flights and domestic flights of Air India were redirected. In fact, there was a Bombay-New York flight that was redirected to New Delhi because there was a bomb threat on it. There was another Delhi-Bangalore flight that came back to Delhi when it had already reached Madhya Pradesh. Why? Because there was a bomb threat mid-air that the airline had received. But now clearly, after the initial bomb threats, which came out as hoax bomb threats, it is probably how the airline is not taking such threats seriously anymore. Sheer negligence, I would say, because at the end of it, whether these are hoax bomb threats or whether these are actual threats, a threat is a threat, and no one can change that fact. And the very fact that it is a threat, it is any airline carrier's responsibility and duty to take that seriously and do what they have to do, which means that they have to inform the regulatory bodies, in this case DGCA, immediately if there is an airline threat. Similarly, how in the past they would put out details on social media that such and such flight has received the bomb threat. That is the very duty of the airline to inform all stakeholders on social media that this has happened. Yes, you don't scare your passengers or create a sense of panic mid-air, but you certainly put out details. That is every citizen's right and every passenger's and their family's right to know what exactly is happening, because the airline carrier is responsible for their lives, and God forbid, if there was any seriousness to such a threat or if anything grave would have happened, out and out it was Air India that was responsible. Then why is it that they said ignore the message, ignore the bomb threat, let it not make an emergency landing? And in the statement that they have replied to Republic, they've said that yes, all the 5 flights have landed safely. Yes, they have landed safely. But what if there was an adverse situation, and what if people's lives were put at risk? So Air India is certainly answerable. The very fact that they purposely withheld information, the very fact that their top boss said ignore, the very fact that this is what the team was directed to do raises grave allegations against Air India. And fact remains that they did not follow the SOP. They did not inform DGCA. It is only when Republic broke this news that they cared to answer to our email that Harsha had written. And that is when they told us. But why not put out that information on social media? And this also gives a sense of how Air India is dealing with this problem individually. So while we understand that the Ministry of Civil Aviation is watching the situation, they are obviously drawing the going through the cyber network to understand what is the link, where is it originating from, what is the problem, and how do they nip the problem in the bud. But is Air India going to continue to play with the lives of people is the biggest question right now, knowing that the hoax bomb threats menace is on the rise at the moment.
Right, so Aisha, stay with us because we are getting in some more breaking news coming in. Republic newsbreak has been confirmed, and this is via DGCA sources. Now, DGCA sources say that Air India informed about the bomb threats only after they were questioned. This is a mega Republic newsbreak and a validation to our Republic newsbreak. The Republic newsbreak has now been confirmed. DGCA sources confirming to Republic that Air India did inform about the bomb threats, but only after they were questioned. So Republic newsbreak there being confirmed by DGCA sources. My colleague Harsha getting us that big exclusive. Harsha, you have been tracking DGCA. You have been taking the lead in the investigation. DGCA has now confirmed that Air India did actually receive bomb threats yesterday on 5 of their Air India flights. And it was only after we questioned them is when they confirmed. What are your DGCA sources telling you more on the story? Harsha.
Yes, Tanisha, you rightly pointed out the top sources of DGCA have clearly stated us that it was after our news break. It was after our news break and the mega questioning which we did to Air India on our channel live, asking the authorities that what are the protocols, why didn't they fulfill the protocol? And DGCA pulled up the authorities of Air India. In fact, the call was made to Chief Security Officer of Air India, posing him the questions. The DGCA official clearly asked them why they tried to hide the bomb scare messages or the social media posts from DGCA, why the regulator was not informed immediately. In fact, after 7 to 8 hours, that means around evening, around 7-ish, around 6 or 7 o'clock, DGCA and BCAS authorities were informed about it, that yes, there was the bomb host threat and also the SOPs were followed. But exactly, if we talk about SOP, Tanisha, we would like to ask Air India, did they form BTAC, which is the Bomb Threat Assessment Committee? Did they really form it? And also, did they do emergency landing? Whether any in-flight checks were done, whether cargo was checked, whether the flight did deroute when immediately they got the bomb message, whether there was the disembarkment of the passengers, whether the CISF and the other security officials were informed about it? No. None of these above happened in the case of Air India. They smartly hid the message of bomb hoax, and also they took the flight to its destination, whether it was JFK, whether it was London. All the flight AI-186, AI-126, AI-119 and AI-109 and 129, all these flights reached to its respective destination. After that, might be they would have taken the flight to Isolation Bay and done the screening and checking, but they didn't deroute, they didn't disembark the passenger. They smartly, casually took this bomb threat message, and now they are putting out to us by stating that yes, SOP were followed, but we can't share the SOPs with you. We very well know the SOPs are in public domain, that BTAC has to be formed. There has to be the mentioning of the specific and non-specific threat which the airline receives. Also, the first thing which the airline has to do is to inform DGCA and BCAS, but the entire Air India turned blind eye towards these hoax messages, towards these bomb threats, and also they kept it under the wraps. They thought that they can hide it from the regulator, but we, being the responsible channel, we have pulled them, we have questioned them, because this is the criminal act which Air India has done, playing with the security and safety of the passengers. Back to you.
Right, Harsha, stay with us. Suesha, coming back to you. Do you not think that the top Air India boss did actually violate the SOP that it had to follow by not informing the stakeholders about the bomb threats, asking them to blatantly ignore the bomb threats that were being received? Did he violate the SOPs, and is it now time that an Indian top boss is needed in Air India? Suesha.
Fact is, Tanisha, that the airline carrier works under you and works on your instructions, and irrespective of what nationality you are, you have been appointed at a certain position and you hold a responsibility. You are responsible for the lives of the people who are flying on your airline. So if a top boss, and be him of any nationality, does not understand that, then the man is massively failing at doing his job. And that is the very point that goes against Air India massively, because he wrote ignore. He allowed the flight to function. They did not make an emergency landing this time. They purposely hid information from the DGCA, while they made an admission that yes, they did receive the threats, but they did not put out that information online. Why? Why? What is their answer? And why is it that they are now holding information, withholding important information that needs to be out, that needs to be told to all the stakeholders, because everybody is investing their faith in an airline like Air India, and it is time that they take that responsibility. Air India, that supposedly in every statement of theirs says that the safety of passengers is paramount for them. How are they possibly proving this? By taking a decision that they did take. They said ignore the bomb threat message. They did not put out the information, and they went ahead with that flight. And then after it has landed safely, and thankfully nothing happened and everything was fine, they say that, oh, it is all fine. But what if it would have gone wrong? Who was responsible? Who said ignore? Because they are clearly putting the lives of people at stake, and Air India needs to answer this. It is not about which nationality is the top boss, but he has been appointed to do a certain job, and he withheld this information. DGCA was not told, people were not told, and this is the information that he withheld. Is our commercial interests above everything for Air India? Are they now trying to save money? Is it that they thought that if they redirect the flight, it would cost the company more? Is it that they thought that if they make an emergency landing, then it would cost the company more? And is it the fact that since this hoax bomb threats menace is on the rise, so now their approach to this very problem in the days to come is the fact that they are going to ignore it?
Right, Suesha. Thank you for getting us all the details. With that, I thank all my colleagues for bringing us those mega exclusive news breaks on Republic. We will keep tracking this story because the buck does not stop here. We'll get you more news breaks on the same. But before that, slipping into